Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of the Happy Knitting Podcast. My name is Julia. Today is Saturday, it's the 14th of March 2020, and I'm just so happy to be chatting to you today. If this is your first time watching, then a big welcome to you. I really hope that you will enjoy this podcast, and if you are coming back, thank you so much for being a regular viewer of this show. So today, what are we going to talk about? This is obviously a knitting podcast, if you didn't know. It's not going to be a coffee podcast today because I forgot to make myself a cup of coffee. I mean, I've had one today, so I'm not dying of caffeine withdrawal just yet. But yeah, that just didn't happen. But we will talk about knitting. So we have a ton of finished objects, you guys. Can you believe it? I actually finished stuff again. And I have a couple of works in progress, and I have a bit of stash enhancement, which really isn't my stash enhancement, but I will show it anyways. So that's what you can look forward to today. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Before we get started, just a quick reminder that I don't do any show notes, but I keep pretty good Ravelry project pages. So if you have any questions as to what I'm talking about, maybe you didn't quite catch what I said because English is not my native language, please feel free to head over there. I will always put a link for that right underneath each video. And then you can just click on whatever finished object or work in progress you're interested in, and you should be able to find all the information there. As we talk about finished objects, first of all, we should talk about what I'm wearing today, because this was theoretically last week's finished object, but I didn't have it finished, washed, and blocked or any of that yet. So I said I would wear it again this week to talk about how it fits, how it looks, all of that. So this is the childhood sweater by Anke Strick. I talked at length about what yarn I used, what modifications I made in the last episode. So if you missed that and you're somewhat interested in that, please just go back. I don't want to keep repeating myself and boring all of you. I just thought I would put it on to show you how it wears, how it looks, all of that. And I will say I blocked this right after filming last week's episode, and I've been wearing it quite a lot this week. This week has been kind of strange in the way that it's been almost spring, but then not quite. So you turn down the heaters, but then it gets really cold and all of that. And this has actually been a really good sweater to keep warm because it obviously has this funnel neck, which I feel like just this neck part makes this such a warm sweater. Like I usually like my sweaters with maybe even like a relatively big sort of neckline, and I don't usually knit things that go up to here. But it's been keeping me really warm, and the yarn, which is the 2-ply jumper weight by Jamieson and Smith. This is a woolen spun non-superwash Shetland yarn. After blocking as I thought it would, it just bloomed and got beautifully squishy. And yeah, like I said, I've been wearing it, and you can tell like this collar kind of falls like that, which I don't mind. I think it looks quite nice. But you can tell, even though I think the fit in terms of the size I chose and all of that turned out quite well, there's a bit of like a line here, so it tends to kind of squish up here a little bit. I don't mind it. It's maybe not perfect. Maybe I have broader shoulders than the average person has for the size that I knit. I'm not quite sure. So it's not like restricting me. I'm not sure if you can tell, but you can just see this line that forms here, and I'm not sure if that's meant to be that way, but it fits really comfortably, so I'm not really complaining about that. Also I had full length sleeves, but with these dropped shoulder designs, whenever you lift up your arms, the sweater goes up and then the sleeve goes up, and so they kind of end up more like this when I wear the sweater throughout the day, which I have been doing today. But yeah, I really like it. I'm still really happy with the choice that I made to do the I-cord bind off. I just decided that would look nice and work well with this kind of wider ribbing. And I really like this effect. Like I'm seriously considering doing this kind of I-cord finish on all of my future sweaters because it's like stretchy without pulling in or pulling out, and it just looks really polished. I really like that effect. And yeah, what else can I say? I'll try to give you an idea of the sweater. So it fits quite well. It has these sort of batwing sleeves. So my real shoulder is up here, and there's quite a bit of space here, which makes it quite comfortable to wear. I knit mine kind of cropped, which I like because otherwise I think it would just be too warm. But this way, it's really quite comfortable. I've just been wearing it with like a t-shirt underneath. And yeah, this is it. So I think that's all I have to say about the childhood sweater. Let's talk about some new finished objects. You guys, I finished all the things. I mean, it's coronavirus time. Wherever you are in the world, first of all, I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and so are your loved ones. And of course, that means, I think, in most parts of the world right now, that we're spending a lot of time indoors. I mean, I work from home, so I haven't had to travel for work in quite a while, thankfully, already. And now, I mean, we're even spending more time at home. And while I'm not necessarily enjoying that, I see the point in that, and it has given me a lot of knitting time. So, what have I done? I finished all the things. First up, this is the least surprising finished object. This is the pair of socks that I've been working on for the last, I think, 3 weeks. This is a pair of socks for Kai. This is Wollmeise yarn, Wollmeise Twin, which is their sock base. I have the label here. Why don't I just show it to you? This is the label. Iris Iberica is the colorway. And I did a top-down sock with a 1x1 rib at the top. And then the entire sock is knit in 3x1 ribbing. And I used a fish lips kiss heel. So pretty standard socks. These will be for Kai, and I absolutely love these. I talked about many times how I love making exactly these socks for Kai. So for him, he's really hard on his socks, and he also likes them to be very colorful. So I love using Wollmeise yarn because it is A, really colorful, and B, it has a lot of plies, so it just holds up so well and still is quite soft, and it's just the perfect yarn for him. Like, he has so many pairs of socks, but these Wollmeise socks, they just hold up really well, both in terms of staying nice and color fast, and also they just last a lot longer. They don't tend to pill for quite a while. And I mean, he has destroyed 1 or 2 pairs of Wollmeise socks as well, but generally I feel like they get the most wear. And by doing these slightly ribbed socks, they just more form-fitting to his foot. So I don't know, I just think this is a perfect combination for socks for him, and I will probably keep knitting him mostly these kinds of socks in the future. So I have 2 of them, they're done. I knit them on 2.0 or size 0 US needles because I was using wooden needles, which I never use. But I started these and knit the first sock, or most of the first sock, on the plane. So that's why I use wooden needles, and with wooden needles I actually knit a lot looser. So it works out. So where I would usually use a 2.25 millimeter needle in like my higher sharps or my Chargu red lace needles, with my wooden needles I can just use a size 0 and they work just the same. But that is just my experience, of course, so please don't go changing your needle sizes based on what I'm saying. It really just depends on your knitting style. Generally, I don't really enjoy wooden needles, but with this yarn, again, it just worked really well, so I just stuck with it. So yeah, they are done. I'm doing this weird thing where I'm out of breath while I'm talking to you. Okay, maybe I should take it slower. Next up, I started finishing all of my really old whips. So you know, if you've been watching for the last couple of episodes, it's something I've been wanting and striving to do. And you guys, can you even remember these? With some of these old whips, honestly, I'm so sorry, but I have lost the ball bands, so I'm really sorry. I just don't have them here to show you guys. But these are some socks that I cast on over our Christmas/New Year's Eve break. This yarn is a Zauberball by Schoppel. So Schoppel, I'm sure you know, they have these colorful balls of yarn. They call it Zauberball. and they have different kinds. So they have the crazy Zauberball, which is applied, and this one I ordered by mistake. I thought it was a plied one, it isn't. So I don't usually like the unplied one, like it's a single ply sock yarn. It does have nylon, so yeah, I get it. It can be a sock yarn, but I don't particularly like it. But I like the colors, so I knit it up, and I knit these socks toe up. So this is a toe up sock, and I did the Hermione's Everyday Sock pattern, which you can maybe see here. It's just a really nice knit pearl texture. It's a free pattern. I believe it's by Erica Luder on Ravelry. And I had this first sock done besides the heel, and the second one, when I picked it up, I was somewhere down here. So I just knit up the tube, and then I put in afterthought heels for these. So these are true afterthought heels, because I didn't want to interrupt the striping sequence on the foot. So you can kind of tell where the heel goes in. There's a bit of a different color, but I think it looks pretty nice. In terms of the yarn, I'm not sure if you can see, but they're already like fuzzing up because it is a singles yarn. So I'm not really sure. Maybe I'll keep them for myself, or maybe I'll give them to my mom, because she doesn't always, she can't always wear hand knit socks because they are itchy, but these are pretty soft, and she's not very tough on her socks. Like, she wouldn't wear them all the time. So maybe I'll give them to her, or at least let her try them on and see if she likes them. And so maybe that'll be a gift. I don't know. I'm just really happy to have these done, honestly. And yeah, that is pretty much all I have to say about that. So once I finished these, I was like, what can I finish next? I was on such a finishing spree, you guys. So another project that I've had on my needles since November, can you believe it, is this shawl. I'm so proud of myself. I'm sorry. This is the Shake It Up shawl by Anna Johanna. I think Anna Johanna is both her name on Ravelry and Instagram. And I think a couple of German podcasters did like a knit along for this pattern ages ago. And I'll be honest, I don't even really follow the German podcasting scene. But this shawl was popping up everywhere, so I decided to knit up some stash and make the same shawl. And like I said, then it got lost. I just didn't work on it. And I picked it up the other day and I finished it. And I mean, look at that. Didn't that honestly turn out beautifully? Like, I don't want to drum my own... What is it? How does the saying go? Oh my gosh. You know what I'm trying to say. I don't want to sound arrogant because this is not like a great knitting effort, but I just love this design, and I chose pretty different colors to what I usually would, I think. Like, these were all stash colors. And again, I'm so sorry. I don't have any of the tags with me, but they are on my profile pages, so you can just click on that and look at that. I know that this one is from a German indie dyer called Lakshmi's Dreams. I'm not sure if they sell on Etsy. I got their yarn at like a pretty small yarn show, and it's a high twist merino. The yellowish one is a Knit Picks Hawthorn. Again, I don't know the colorway name, but I'm sure most of you know Knit Picks Hawthorn. And the darkest color is Malabrigo sock yarn in the Anniversario colorway. I can tell you that much. But yeah, this shawl, you knit it on the bias from the side, I guess, and there's like lace and garter stitch and stripes, and then there's quite a bit of brioche. And I think this is what really slowed me down, but because I mean, I like brioche, but I don't love doing brioche, and it just takes a long time. And when I picked it back up, I think I was just at that point where you start decreasing. So I think this was the last stripe that I had done before putting it down quite a couple of months ago. So I just picked it back up. I did all the garter stitch. I did another brioche section. And then this last section, you're supposed to do some kind of 2-color garter stitch, which meant a ton of purling. And I was just like, no way, I'm not doing that. So I just ended up striping the 2 colors together for the last section. And the original design will then have you pick up stitches along the border, and like there's a whole nother section that goes on around the border here, I think. But I wasn't sure from the beginning if I was going to do that, just because it looks nice, but I kind of felt like the shawl already looked nice without it. And this pattern is really good at telling you how much yarn you're supposed to have left after each section, and I was bang on. And then for some reason, I'm not sure why, suddenly I was way, way low on one of the colors, I think the yellow one. Like I had about half of what I was supposed to have, so I'm not sure what happened there. But so I wouldn't have had enough yarn anyways, and so I decided to block it because I was worried that this shawl wouldn't be super big. But obviously it is quite big. I really love it. I'm so happy I didn't frog this. I thought about just ripping it out, and the only reason, frankly, why I didn't is because I had cut all the yarns a million times because there's like so many stripes and changing colors in here. So it wouldn't have been like I could have just rescanned the yarn and used it for something else. And I'm really glad I didn't. I'm really glad I persevered with this one, and I actually really love the finished result. So that's definitely the biggest, I think, success in my knitting book recently. And for this, I remember going down a couple of needle sizes. I think I knit this on a 3.5 millimeter needle. And this was one of the projects. I had this on a Addi lace needle, which I generally like, but I just wasn't making any progress. And then I switched to my Chow Goose, and that did the trick. And sometimes it's just amazing how just changing a needle changes everything, at least for me. So yeah, this is done. I love it. It's blocked. The ends are woven in. There were a lot of ends, I will be honest. And I'm just super happy about it. Should I put it on? Like, it just looks so nice when you have all these colors going together. I mean, it doesn't go with my sweater, but I really love it. So yeah, those are my finished objects for this week. And so I don't have that many that many works in progress left. You may remember I had started another shawl, a lace shawl by Joji Locatelli, and you will all hate me for this, but I frogged it. I just ripped it out. And I felt really bad about it because I really both loved the yarn and the pattern. But I had one skein less yarn than I needed to. So I was already knowing that I would have played yarn chicken. And I mean, I was knitting a fingering weight shawl with lace weight yarn. It was taking forever, and I just knew that right now I didn't feel like picking it up. Like, I would have probably had this as a work in progress for such a long time, and I decided that I just don't want that, so I ripped that out. So now I only have one shawl left on the needles. I have one garment left on the needles. I have a cowl left on the needles, and I cast on something new. So I feel like I'm really good with my whips. But like I said, I had one shawl left, so I decided to pick that up as well. So before I talk about the pattern, let's talk about the yarn that I'm using for this. All of the yarn that I'm using is Wollmeise yarn once again. And no, I'm not sponsored by Wollmeise or any other yarn brand. I just sometimes happen to knit with the same thing quite a lot at the same time. So this is Wollmeise Pure, which is their pure wool yarn in the chic colorway. And again, I got these as Nobody is Perfect skeins, so there's something wrong with them, which is why they were on sale. I originally got these. I got 2 full skeins, which are 150 grams each, and a couple of mini skeins to make a sweater project. But decided against that, so I have all these minis. They're called Wollmeise Birdies. I think they come in 30-gram increments, possibly. And a couple of these I just bought with the yarn when I bought all of this together, and a couple of them I had from like a Birdies set that I purchased maybe a year ago. So yeah, it's just a couple of different colors. Please don't ask me what they are. I have no idea, but they're all in the same Wollmeise Pure base. And the shawl that I'm knitting is a Stephen West pattern that I think is very much underrated, and I don't really know why. Like, it's a beautiful pattern, but it just doesn't have that many projects. And it's been out for a while, so I'm not sure. Maybe people are just overlooking it, but it's called the Cozy Corners shawl. And it's really cool. It's the Garter Stitch project, and there's like a striped version where you stripe every 2 rows, I think, which looks really good. It gives you more of like a fading effect. And then Stephen did a version where he just, similar to mine, I think he had like a gray base color, and then he just striped all kinds of colors in between, and it just looks really funky and creative, so that's what I decided to do. Again, I cast this on a while ago. And I'm showing this to you very carefully because I am in the middle of a row. But let's try to show you anyhow. So this is where we are. So you have all these increases and decreases, which kind of keep it interesting. But at the same time, it's just a lot of garter stitch. So once you're in each section, it's actually quite easy to follow along. You don't have to really look at the pattern. And yeah, I'm just having fun with this. I think this is my first ever shawl project that I'm knitting out of Wollmeise yarn, and so far I'm really liking it. The fabric is coming out quite nicely. Again, I went down a couple of needle sizes. I'm using a 3.5 millimeter needle, US size 4. So yeah, so the last time I showed it to you, I think I was down at that yellow stripe here, but when I then picked it back up a couple of days ago, I put in this very fitting sock stitch marker, because obviously this is a sock. And this is how much progress I've made. So I think the thing that was stopping me was that I kept getting lost in the pattern because I was just putting this thing down all the time, and my stitch counts are off. And they have been off for a while, which really isn't a problem at all. It just meant that it was harder to find my spot in the pattern again, because I couldn't just go with, if I have X amount of stitches, I should be at this row. But I did figure it out. So I think now that I'm back on track and I'm back at following the pattern, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. And as you can tell, I'm just randomly striping in these colors, and I am trying to weave them in as I go, because otherwise that would be a big disaster in the end. So yeah, I quite like it. Again, kind of an unusual color combination, but I'm just really enjoying working on these old things again, which I'm so happy about. It feels so good to get stuff done. And I mean, I'm not close to being done, but I have quite a substantial amount already knit. So yeah, that's where we are with that. In hindsight, I'm not really even sure if I'm going to dig into the second skein, because I have quite a lot of yarn left. So I might be left over with a whole skein of this, so I'll have to find a use for that. But that's a problem that I can solve in the future, I guess. So yeah, that is what I've been working on. I've put in like a row or two in my blankets, but that's not really worth showing. So really my plan is, oh no, actually I have something else to show you. I cast on something new. I completely forgot about it. So because I finished all of my socks the other day, I decided I do deserve a new cast on. So I cast on a pair of socks that really I've been wanting to cast on for ages. So I'm using some yarn that I was gifted actually from the dyer quite a while ago. Oh no. I'm going to go and find the tag for this. Where is it? So, as I was saying, the dyer of this yarn gifted me this yarn and a couple of other skeins quite a while ago. I think they were leftover skeins from a show or something. And I've been wanting to knit this skein up for a long time, and I'm so sorry I only managed to do this now. And that is Stacy, who has Twisted Threads. So she's an indie dyer from the US, I believe. And she sent me the skein of sock yarn. It's just a 75/25 merino nylon base in the basket case colorway. But it is so soft. This is such a soft yarn base. I'm not sure what she does with it. Like, there must be some kind of magic involved, but this is such a beautiful soft skein. I know that many times when I was trying to pick the yarn for my next pair of socks or whatever, I had this in my hands so many times. So this time I finally caked it up into two cakes and started some 2 at a time socks. So I love knitting 2 at a time socks, and I don't know why I don't do it more often, because I really, really enjoy it. No matter if I do them like cuff down or toe up, I just really enjoy knitting 2 at a time, especially with vanilla socks. So yeah, I cast these on, and I'm just having so much fun with these. So these will be for me. They will be the softest and prettiest springy socks. I just started with a 2x2 rib for about 20 rows, which is about my standard. And then, as you can tell, I'm just doing plain vanilla stockinette socks. And I love them. Like, the pooling on these is so fun. And because I'm knitting them 2 at a time, my tension is somewhat even. So they're both kind of pooling the same way. You can tell that one is a bit more pink and the other one is a bit more purple, which that is just the beauty of hand-dyed yarn. But This has just been such a relaxing TV knit. We've been rewatching House on Amazon, I think. And I've just been working on these and they have been making me very, very happy. So yeah, just my basic standard socks, 2 at a time, 64 stitches, 2.25 millimeter or US size 1 needles. The only thing that I will do is I basically just use the next needle that I found, but I think I will put them on a bigger needle soon because that just makes 2 at a time a bit more easier. So I can do magic loop 2 at a time with like a 60 or 80 centimeter cord, but I really do prefer doing it on 100 centimeter needles, which are I think 40 inch. Yeah, that should be right. So I think I will transfer them onto just some longer cord needles, but besides that, I'm really enjoying them. I'm probably more than halfway down the leg. I do want these to have relatively long legs, but yeah, just a very fun, very simple project. And thanks again, Stacy, for sending those to me. Of course, I will always be honest. If I get something as a gift, I will tell you so you know that I'm not like promoting someone without telling you, but this is just my honest personal opinion. And I mean, I probably got this like 2 years ago, so I wouldn't really say I'm promoting anything. I'm just telling you what I think, and I try to be upfront whenever I do get something sent as a gift for free, whatever. And if I am ever sent something to review, I will again also make that very, very clear so you know whether I'm just telling you whatever I think, which I will probably do anyways, but whether there's any sort of incentive to say anything good about anything. I just made that really complicated, didn't I? Anyways, that really is what I have been knitting on. So I don't really have any acquisitions, but Kai, my husband, does. So you may or may not know that he has his own stash, and no, before you ask, he doesn't really knit. I mean, he knows how to knit. He has knit scarves and stuff before, but he doesn't really knit. But he has his own stash, which is very important to him. And so then he just gets yarn every now and then because he is into like nerdy colorway names and all of that. And then I will eventually just knit up socks or whatever for him. So I had to get a certain colorway, or I had to send it to him when I saw it, because this is by Das Mondschaf, Sabrina, who is a German indie dyer. And she came out with a colorway called Pandemic. So this is obviously based on coronavirus. And this is very, very, very fitting for Kai because as part of his job at the moment, he is basically 100% of his day dealing with corona. So it is just so fitting. Like, he has been working very long hours this week and these past weeks. And like the C word in our house is kind of hated because he just deals with it on a professional level every single day. So obviously he needed corona socks. Like, there was just no way of getting past that. And that colorway also, I just think it's really awesome. We both really, really liked it. It's very much highlighter green with some black and a little bit of speckling in here. So obviously that had to come live with us. And I feel like I have to knit this up for him very soon. So this is Sabrina's Pegasus Base, which is a merino and nylon blend. And I just thought this was really cool and just a really cool story as well. So I thought I would show that to you. And I think Sabrina said something about coming out with a whole range of, I'm not sure if they're like pandemic or apocalypse colors or something. So she released this one early. So I'm very curious to see what she comes out with next. So yeah, those are, this is the acquisition of the week. And I think that pretty much wraps up everything that I have to tell you this week. I know I teased a special episode and I am still working on that. You will get that special episode. I thought it might be up this week. It just didn't happen. There are a few details that still need to be sussed out, but it will happen. So don't worry, you will get your special episode and I hope you will like it. Besides that, yeah, it's basically been much of the usual. Like I said, working and staying at home more than we already are. What else can I tell you? yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like, it's just not been particularly interesting, but that's not necessarily a bad thing with like all the crises going on around the world and all of that. Like, there's already enough going on. So I think with that, I'm just going to say goodbye and I will see you very, very soon. Definitely for a podcast episode next weekend, possibly with something else. We will see about that. I'm trying to not stress myself out about it. It will just happen whenever it happens, and I'm sure you'll be here to watch it. So I think all that's left to say is thank you so much for watching this episode. I really, really hope that you liked it if you watched for the first time, or if you're coming back, I still hope you like it. Um, so have a great weekend. I hope you have some time to spend with your yarn. I mean, the only good thing about like everything that's happening right now is that it is giving us more time to knit maybe. So stay safe, stay healthy, everyone. Thank you for watching, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye!